In the ever-shifting landscape of global geopolitics, there are rare moments that possess the potential to fundamentally reshape the course of history. These are the moments when the world seems to pause, holding its breath, as new possibilities emerge on the international stage. Today, July 27, 2025, stands out as one of those pivotal days, a day that could be remembered for generations to come. In a move that has stunned observers worldwide, China has formally acknowledged a new proposal from Taiwan, the self-governing island it has long claimed as an inseparable part of its territory. This proposal, years in the making, represents a bold step by Taiwan to redefine its relationship with the mainland. This is far from routine diplomacy. It's a seismic development sending shockwaves through the corridors of power from Washington to Tokyo and reverberating across every major capital. For decades, the Taiwan Strait has been a flashpoint of tension and uncertainty, with both sides locked in a seemingly unbreakable standoff, their militaries on constant alert. China's unwavering One China principle insists that Taiwan is an integral part of its territory, and any hint of independence has been met with stern warnings, military posturing, and even threats of force. Yet, Beijing's formal recognition of Taiwan's proposal marks a dramatic break from years of silence, suspicion, and outright hostility, a gesture that few thought possible in our lifetime. The world now asks, is this a genuine opening for peace and reconciliation, or merely a calculated strategic move in a much larger game of power and influence? The stakes could not be higher. This moment touches everything from global trade routes and economic stability, to the delicate balance of power between the United States and China, and the security of the entire Asia-Pacific region. To truly understand the significance of this moment, we must look back at the long and complicated history that shaped it, and recognize the risks and uncertainties that still remain on the horizon. A single diplomatic gesture cannot erase decades of mistrust and rivalry, but it can open a window for dialogue and negotiation that simply didn't exist before, offering a glimmer of hope for a more peaceful future. In this series, we'll explore the context behind the proposal, the details of China's response, and the wide-ranging global reactions that are already unfolding in real time. Is this the dawn of a new era for Asia, a turning point that could lead to lasting peace? Or is it simply the beginning of a new chapter in a long-running saga of rivalry and uncertainty? Only time will tell, but the world is watching closely. To truly understand today's headlines and the ongoing tensions in East Asia, we must revisit the deep and complex roots of the China-Taiwan conflict, a story that has shaped the region for generations. The split began in the aftermath of the brutal Chinese Civil War, when the defeated nationalist forces, led by Chiang Kai-shek, retreated to the island of Taiwan in 1949. There, they established a rival government, claiming to be the true government of all China. For decades, both Beijing and Taipei insisted they were the sole legitimate rulers of China, forcing countries around the world to make a difficult choice between the two. In the 1970s, a major shift occurred as the United States and many other nations switched diplomatic recognition to the People's Republic of China, leaving Taiwan increasingly isolated on the world stage and excluded from major international organizations. For Beijing, the idea of reunification with Taiwan remains unfinished business, a matter deeply tied to national pride, historical memory, and the question of sovereignty. But for many in Taiwan, especially among the younger generation, their sense of identity is distinct, democratic, and separate from the mainland. They see themselves not as a breakaway province, but as a people with their own voice and future. This fundamental clash of identities and visions for the future continues to fuel the ongoing tension and uncertainty across the Taiwan Strait. China's frequent military drills and shows of force near Taiwan serve as a constant reminder of the threat of conflict, while Taiwan relies on its own defenses and the backing of the United States to deter aggression and maintain its autonomy. The peace in this region has always been fragile, maintained by a delicate and sometimes precarious balance of power, diplomacy, and deterrence. Today's developments and rising tensions are deeply rooted in this century-old divide, a legacy of history that continues to shape the present and the future. Taiwan's fate is a global issue. Geographically, it sits at a strategic crossroads in Asia. Control would give China's navy access to the Pacific, shifting the region's balance of power. Economically, Taiwan is the world's semiconductor hub. Any conflict would disrupt global tech supply chains and trigger economic crisis. Taiwan is also a symbol of vibrant democracy standing in contrast to China's authoritarian system. Supporting Taiwan is about defending freedom and self-determination. The US policy of strategic ambiguity has kept the peace, but rising Chinese power and Taiwanese identity are straining that balance. That's why any diplomatic breakthrough here matters to the entire world. The stakes are nothing less than global stability. Taiwan's new government, led by President Lai Ching-te, has launched the Shared Future Initiative, a bold proposal for cross-strait relations. Instead of sovereignty debates, it focuses on practical cooperation, economic interdependence, non-traditional security, and cultural exchange. Joint working groups would manage supply chain risks, while agencies would coordinate on issues like climate change and pandemics. The plan also calls for easing restrictions on tourism and academic exchanges, rebuilding human connections. Crucially, the proposal avoids talk of independence but also doesn't concede on sovereignty, framing the relationship as two entities seeking peaceful coexistence. It's a pragmatic diplomatic move offering benefits without demanding either side abandon core principles. The question, can Beijing set aside its biggest disagreement and work together on shared interests? This approach is what made it impossible for Beijing to simply dismiss. The world is watching to see if this opens a new chapter. The world braced for Beijing's reaction to Taiwan's initiative. Historically, China's response to such proposals has been harsh and dismissive. This time, however, Beijing issued a brief, neutral statement. It acknowledged receipt and said the proposal had elements worth noting. In the context of cross-strait relations, this was seismic, a break from decades of outright rejection. Beijing didn't endorse the plan or shift its core position, but it opened a door long sealed shut. This subtle shift suggests a tentative willingness to engage, not just confront. Analysts are scrambling to interpret the motives. Is this strategic patience or a new approach? By not rejecting the proposal, China puts the ball in Taiwan's court and signals a more sophisticated, less confrontational strategy. The dynamic has changed, and the world is taking notice. Beijing's approach to Taiwan may be evolving in unpredictable ways. China's surprising openness isn't sudden goodwill, it's a calculated move. Domestically, Beijing faces economic challenges, a property crisis, high youth unemployment, and slowing growth. Escalating with Taiwan now would risk further instability. Internationally, China wants to project itself as a responsible power, not a regional bully, especially as it courts Europe, Africa, and Latin America. The old strategy of military threats has backfired, hardening attitudes in Taiwan and boosting US support. Engaging with Taiwan's proposal could foster pro-unification sentiment over time, using economic and cultural ties instead of force. It's also a way to test Taiwan's new government and gauge international reactions. This strategic pause lets China reset the terms of engagement and gather intelligence. The ultimate goal remains unchanged, bringing Taiwan under Beijing's control. For now, China is playing the long game. Beijing's response sent shockwaves through Washington, reverberating across the corridors of power and sparking urgent discussions among policymakers. The US has long prepared for rising tensions in the Taiwan Strait, but China's unexpected acknowledgement of the Shared Future Initiative forced a rapid reassessment of American strategy and priorities in the region. Publicly, the White House expressed cautious optimism, welcoming any steps that reduce tensions and promote dialogue between the parties. Officials emphasized the importance of open communication and the need for all sides to act responsibly. This endorsement gives both sides space to continue talks without fear of US disapproval, creating a rare window for diplomacy to take root and potentially flourish. Privately, however, skepticism remains. Many in Washington wonder if this is a genuine shift in China's approach, or merely a tactical pause designed to buy time or gain leverage. US intelligence agencies are working overtime to analyze Beijing's motives, while the Pentagon isn't slowing its Indo-Pacific preparations, maintaining a strong military presence and readiness in the region. Washington faces a delicate balancing act, supporting dialogue and peace efforts but without pressuring Taiwan into unwanted concessions or appearing to abandon its long-standing defense commitments to the island. The US will act as a watchful facilitator, maintaining its One China policy and security guarantees, while encouraging all parties to seek peaceful solutions. The goal is clear: encourage peace and stability, but remain prepared for any outcome no matter how unpredictable the situation may become. This is a diplomatic tightrope, requiring careful steps and constant vigilance, as the stakes for regional and global security are incredibly high. The U.S. response in the coming weeks and months will shape the next phase of cross-strait relations, influencing not just Taiwan and China, but the entire international community. The world is watching America's next move, waiting to see whether it can steer events toward peace, or if new tensions will emerge on the global stage. The Taiwan Strait's new dynamic has sent ripples worldwide. Japan, with its security at stake, welcomed the reduction in tensions, hoping for continued dialogue. Europe praised the move as a diplomatic win, though analysts warn China's core goals haven't changed. Australia echoed U.S. optimism, while India and Southeast Asian nations are watching closely, relieved at the lowered pressure to choose sides. Russia sees both opportunity and risk. China's peacemaker image grows, but less global tension could limit Moscow's leverage. For ASEAN countries, less U.S.-China tension means less risk of being caught in the middle. The world's major capitals understand the stakes. Peace in the Taiwan Strait is central to global security. This unexpected turn has given the world a moment to exhale, but everyone is bracing for what comes next. Today's news is a turning point, but it's just the start of a long, uncertain journey. China's acknowledgement of Taiwan's initiative has lowered tensions, but the core conflict remains unresolved. The risk of collapse is real. A single misstep could reignite hostility. Decades of mistrust won't vanish overnight. Building confidence will take time and courage. The international community, especially the U.S., must help Taiwan negotiate from strength while encouraging dialogue. This balancing act is delicate, supporting security while fostering engagement. The outcome may hinge on American diplomacy in the months ahead. The significance of this moment lies in its possibility. Even the most entrenched conflicts can shift. The hope for a peaceful resolution, however slim, is worth pursuing. The alternative, major power war, is unthinkable. The world now waits, hoping this small opening leads to a shared, peaceful future across the Taiwan Strait.